many people do you think have got PSC in the UK? So what do you think the prevalence is? Because you know there's been different research studies and the figures are wildly different.
Yeah, good question. I don't know, so I'm not going to pretend I know that. I think what I do think, okay, and I'm not answering your question directly, is I think there's a much greater proportion of patients with inflammatory bowel disease that have PSC. And I say that because I think, as I alluded to, the genetics tells us that there is a group of people that is a genetically different disease. And, you know, we all have patients that we scope and do colonoscopies on where we know it looks like PSC colitis, but the liver tests are normal. So I think what perhaps would be a better way of estimating that is perhaps looking at the Norwegian study and the recent Oxford study published by Eva Culver and Roger Chapman, and saying, well, perhaps maybe 8, 10, 13, 14% of patients with colitis and normal liver tests have PSC. And then use the well-published and perhaps slightly more robust IBD epidemiological data and work backwards. And I think that might be the way to get a better feel for what the true prevalence of PSC is, and also therefore the incidence of PSC. So I don't know the answer to your question, but that's how I would tackle it. And that study's got to be done yet. We've got to take a load of patients with normal liver tests and colitis, you know, like a UC phenotype, and see how many of them really do have abnormal cholangiograms. Can we do something from genetic and polygenic risk scores and really see, can we start to pull apart and identify that group that have PSC? And as Maxine's alluded to, if they've got early disease, can we influence it and stop them presenting at a later stage? And I think that's really one of the challenges for all of us to undertake in the next sort of 10, 15 years.
That's the dream, isn't it? To not just give an effective treatment for PSC patients, but to catch it really, really early.
I was alluding to, perhaps, you know, we've already, you know, myself and Eva through PSC, we're trying to see, is there some diagnostic biomarkers? You know, for PBC, a sister autoimmune disease, we have a lovely antibody test. If we had the same for PSC, or some group of antibodies that doctors can measure and say, well, you know, there's a chance you may have this, then it would become a lot more easier. So that's where the dream is, and that's what we need to focus down on.
So I think it's probably a good place to end on the dream. But we've covered so much this evening, and I think it's, like Palak said right at the beginning, it's a really exciting time for PSC patients. And whilst it's a really difficult disease to live with, there's more hope than ever at the moment. So thank you, Simon, and thanks to Palak as well for giving up your time this evening.
Thank you, everyone, for all you've done and contributed towards the studies. It's without you, there wouldn't be these studies. We wouldn't make the advances that we have. So thank you very much.